What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or just search United We Cast, or you can get it on YouTube, youtube.com/Gary Owen Com. I had a good New Year's. I was in, last week I told you I was in Chicago, it was freezing. Then I went to Detroit on December 30th, and it was cold, but it wasn't like Chicago. And then New Year's Eve, I was in Dallas, Texas at the Verizon Theater, and we sold every show out. Every show was sold out. So I did the math. I think approximately 12,000. I think 12,000 people saw me in 4 days, which is good. That's a lot of people to make laugh. I was working so much, 3 cities in 4 days. I just told my agent, I said, yo, I want off the first weekend of January. Just so I didn't want to do anything. Plus, it's the first week of the playoffs in the NFL, which really I should have taken off the second week because the wild card's great. But that second week, to me, is the best week of football other than the Super Bowl because you got 4 games and you got the number 1 and 2 seed always playing. So to me, I should have waited and got the second week of January off. So now the second week of January, I'm in Baltimore, January 11th to the 14th. And it always reminds me of 2 years ago when the Bengals was the 3 seed and the Steelers got into the 6 seed. And we all know what happened during the game. But my thing was the only game I wasn't going to be able to watch all the way through was the late game Saturday. And what the hell? The Bengals and Steelers become the late game Saturday. I said, what are the chances? What are the chances? I didn't want to work that weekend. I get offered to roast Alabama and Clemson. They were playing for the national title out in Phoenix. And the game was Monday, and they wanted some comedians as me, Anthony Anderson, Faison Love, excuse me, a couple other comics. And I was just thinking, okay, the show was booked 2 months in advance. And I was just thinking, okay, no problem. As long as the Bengals aren't that late game Saturday, I'm good. And when that schedule came out, I go, no way. There's just no way. It's the late game Saturday. I couldn't believe it. So it is what it is. I'm going to get into the playoffs in a second. But me and my wife went to Vegas years ago to see a title fight. And we were young and we didn't know that you can't. A lot of the fights back then, this is like early 2000s. I'm not going to say the fighters. And you'll know why I'm not giving out the fighters' names when I get done with the story. But we didn't know that they don't show the fights in the casino because you bet on them. And I guess, the fights are at a casino. So you literally we had to drive and find a sports bar off the strip that was just showing this fight. So we're sitting there. And it was funny because we got there early. I like to watch the pre-fights. And my wife's just sitting there. And then these 2-3 black guys walked in and they looked like gangbangers. And everyone was looking at me, oh, where are they going to sit? And then I make eye contact with the dude and I gave him the opening, dude, you want to sit down? So the guy sat with us and we start cutting up and just talking about fighting. And they were from LA and everything. And I asked them what they were doing there. And they said they first they didn't tell me. Then they said they brought some girls, working girls, to work fight weekend. And that's a part of big fight weekend that they don't ever show. Let me tell you something. Prices go up with hookers and strippers. They said Tyson brought so much money to that economy when he was at his heyday. Pussy went up from $50 to $500, from $500 to $5,000. So we're sitting there and, we're getting ready to watch this fight. And one of the guys goes, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something, man. You seem cool. He was like, one of our girls sucked so-and-so's dick last night. And I was like, what? So one of the girls that they brought ended up sucking off one of the fighters in this title fight. I said, I'll be right back. I ran down the casino and bet $1,000 on the other guy. And my only regret is when you bet in Vegas, you can go KO 1 through 4, KO 5 through 8, KO 8 through 12. Or you can put decision or just win. I just picked for the guy to win. And the guy that got his dick sucked got knocked out. I should have been on a knockout in a certain round. But great investment that day. Appreciate those gangbangers. Hashtag pimp. Hashtag got Gary Owen to hook up. I think I got a straight up bet with that. So I think I bet 1,000. I won 1,000. It was like a straight up bet. But when I tell you I was running, because by the time he told me, they were getting ready to do the fight announcement. Like they were waiting for so-and-so to come to the ring than the other guy. And I was like, I got to get down there. I ran back. I remember I came back. My wife just looking at me like, where'd you go? I was like, I had to put $1,000 on him. Oh, God. Whew. I only had to wait like 15 minutes and my investment came through. It was great. And then I remember I was thanking the guys, and then the guys paid for our drinks and our food because we were cool with them. So they bought our stuff. So they ended up being real cool guys. And then when it was funny, we was leaving, me and Kenny was waiting on a cab, my wife, and we're waiting on a cab. And the guys got in this like big, like Lincoln Navigator or Chevy Tahoe, one of those big SUVs, and they had TVs in it. And there was like lighting underneath it. Like they drove that car from LA and they had it souped up. And I was like, man, look at that, Kenya. They got their shit together. And I was hyping them up like they was cool and blah, blah, blah. And then, so the guys take off. They were cool, by the way. And I'm just thinking they got their shit together. They balling out this week in Vegas. So we're headed back to our hotel. And I think we were staying at like the Hilton or like the Luxor, like a nice hotel, but nothing crazy. And I remember we drove by like a Super 6 and there were the guys parking. And my wife was like, got they shit together, huh? And I was like this, I go, they're keeping the girls in the Super 6, but they're probably at the Cosmopolitan. But I remember thinking, oh, those guys got their shit together. They doing it big. They doing it right. So little did I know, but man, that's still my favorite fight in Vegas. That's still my favorite fight in Vegas. And the guy that won that fight is still my favorite fighter to this day. That reminds me whenever I was doing one of my comedy specials in Vegas called True Story. I was shooting in Vegas and Winky Wright came in town to come to my special, right? And if you watch the special, the intro to it, Winky's with me, like I'm walking into the casino and I have my cousin with me. I have my road manager, Brad, my opener that opened for the show. And then Winky was with me too. And I told Winky, I go, hey man, get in this shot. I just want people to be like, is that Winky Wright? And it was funny because we filmed it at the Mandalay Bay, that special. And so they were taking care of me because I was entertainment for the week. My special was being taped there. But hanging out with Winky, you realize boxers, that's their domain, man. That is their home field. Just like Bengals' home city is Cincinnati, the Cowboys is Dallas. For fighters, the casinos are where fighters get treated like royalty. Because, the casinos never forget those fighters generated so much money at one point for the casino. Like Wink hasn't fought. I went to his last fight in 2012, but he hadn't fought in Vegas in almost 10 years. So this is a couple years ago. But even when we walked around casino, I was in the movie Casino. Hey, Wink. Hey, man, good seeing you, bud. It was like Goodfellas meets A Bronx Tale meets Casino. It was those type of guys. Wink, baby, wink. And then at one point, we went through like a back area that I didn't know was at the casino. We get on an elevator that you can't just get on. And then we went up to this floor, and I can't even tell you how many floors, but it was like a high-end roller room that is not on the map at the Mandalay Bay. And I was like, what is this? And Wink was like, just telling me, just the room. He goes, I'm bored. We was in that room for 5 minutes. Wink was bored. And then this is when sometimes you have a conversation with somebody that you're not having the same conversation. So Wink said what he liked to play. And I like blackjack now. But back then I liked craps. I had just learned how to play a few years before I taped this special. So I was really playing craps a lot. When he goes, yeah, man, craps is my game. So we're talking money. And he said, what's the most you ever walked away with? And I said, 2,500, and I was lying. Completely lying, but I didn't know what Wink was talking about. Like, how much money does Wink bet? So I didn't want to seem like, most I walked away with is like $400 because I gamble in Indiana when I play roulette, or Ohio where you can do $10 a roll. So I told him 25, right? So all I said was 2,500. I'm assuming 2,500. So Wink talked to me. He goes, yeah, man. Because I remember after one of my fights, I told him, hold some of my money from my purse. For those that don't know, a lot of times a fighter's check is called a purse after the fight. So Wink said, I told him to hold some money from my purse and I'm going to gamble. He said him and Antonio Tarver went to the craps table. He goes, I started with 300. He goes, and I was like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah. He goes, and then, I got it up to 8. He goes, and then, he goes, but Tava got up to 1.2. And I go, oh, okay. I said, 1.2. He goes, yeah. Million. So Winky, after one of his fights, had $300,000 held from his purse so he could play craps with it. So him and Antonio Tarver had their own table, obviously. And when I said 2,500 and Wink said 300, I said, man, we having two totally different conversations right now. I meant $2,500. He started with 300,000. Him and Tarver, one of them got up to 1.2 million. I was like, what? I'm out of this. I was impressed and awe and scared of him at the same time. I was like, whoa. I can't even imagine. But he said it so like nonchalant. Yeah, man. He had 300. But I tell you, Winky hung out with me when I started Think Like a Man too. And if you know Vegas Memorial Weekend, that's like a party weekend. Like you spend I hung out with Patrick Patterson, he's playing for Oklahoma City now for most of that weekend. And I just met him like a month before in Houston. I met him, and like his crew and me and my guy Brad, we got along with him. So he came to Vegas Memorial Weekend. He gave me a call, and I hung out with him most of the weekend. And everywhere we went, Pat had like a table, or we went out to eat. He had reservations, and I said, "Man, how'd you get all this planned?" He said, I hired somebody to do all my event planning for this weekend. Because I've never been to Vegas for Memorial Weekend. I just want to experience it. Which, if you're single, I recommend anybody going to Vegas for Memorial Weekend. It's a free for all, but it's fun. I wasn't, so I had a tempered weekend in Vegas. I had a good time, but not as good as I could have had. So, so I hung out with Patrick Patterson a lot, but he was paying everything he did. Like they had everything waiting on him. Now, a couple of nights I hung out with Winky. Like during Memorial Day weekend, then Wink would come back later on, and Wink plays a lot of golf still in Vegas. And I think he gambled a lot too. I don't know anymore, but when he fought. But it was like one time we went out, and this nightclub we couldn't get into, they was like, nope. All of a sudden Wink shows up. We went through a different door that led us to the back of the nightclub, and then we got a table, and then Wink doesn't drink. So he was like, yeah, man, get whatever you want, man. I got a $2,000 marker. So basically, we could order whatever we want up to $2,000. So we end up ordering like 2 bottles, some water, and the bottles make us like $500-$600 a piece. So I was just like, Winky is the guy to hang out with in Vegas. That's all I'm saying. The nightclub wouldn't let nobody in. It's shut down, and the lobby was so crowded with people, and everybody trying to get into this nightclub. And then Wink showed up, and everybody saw him. Like, whoop, and then he went around back, went through this side door, went up this elevator. Also, we entered the back of the club, and then the guy walked us to a table. I mean, I was like, okay, Wink. But then I thought about it too. Like, he fought at the Mandalay Bay in the big room, like that holds 12,000, I think. So my show was in the theater that holds 2,500. So I'm thinking, damn, they still remember that Wink generated all that money, because people forget how good Winky Wright was. Winky was one of those guys nobody wanted to fight back in the day. He beat Fernando Vargas pretty easily, but they had so much money for that Vargas De La Hoya fight, they weren't going to let Vargas lose that fight. And that's the first time I saw Winky Wright fight. I go, man, he's handling Vargas. And then they didn't give him the fight. And then he won a couple more fights, and then nobody wanted to fight him. And then Mosley beats De La Hoya, so everybody thinks Mosley's the guy. And all of a sudden, boom, Winky beats Mosley. And nobody wanted to fight Wink. Everybody avoided him. And then Winky handled Felix Trinidad pretty easy. So he's up for the Hall of Fame. I think he got in, the Boxing Hall of Fame. Either he was up or he got in. And here's another story that it's mind-boggling, man. I don't know how I got on this Winky rant and didn't think about it. Winky had an advisor named Damien. Damien's a good dude. And I would talk to Damien for hours. I would go to Vegas and just BS with him about, he was like, he knew everybody, 50 Cent and Jay-Z and just, he was one of those guys that was so tapped in, especially in the New York scene and the boxing scene. Everybody knew him, but you would never know him. Joe Blow from the public would know him. And man, he got murdered a couple weeks ago in New York. And he had a restaurant /bar, and he was leaving it, and like 12:30 at night, somebody came and just shot him, man. And I don't know if they found him yet, but I remember sending Wink a text asking if he's all right. He's, yeah, I'm good. And just, Damien was such a good dude. Like in boxing realms, everybody knew Damien. And even like in the hip hop realm, everybody knew who Damien was. But Damien and Winky, Damien was all about Wink. Wink was all about Damien. So, man, I hope they catch those guys. Now, I'm going to give my Super Bowl picks every week that I always do, but now we're in the playoffs. So I say I'm going to go with Minnesota and the Patriots till Tom Brady, somebody says otherwise. But I will say Tom Brady needed this week off more than anybody because he didn't play that great the last couple weeks. And I think it catches up with you, especially in the cold and especially when, week 11, 12, 13, you're fine. But then, now you're 40. Talk about ending the season strong. The Bengals did something they didn't do all year. They won on the last drive. And the defense stopped the offense on the last drive because, I don't know if you remember the Tennessee game, A.J. Green caught a pass, took it 60, 70 yards. Bengals were up with 4 minutes to go, and the Titans just went down and drove it right down our throats. And we lost. Steeler game. We're up 20-10 going into fourth. Steelers score 3 times, drove it right down our throats. Bengals get the ball back at 3 minutes left. We go 3 and out. Steelers come right down, kick a field goal. I mean, the MO this season is Bengals lose the close games at the end. And the Bengals did something they haven't done all year. After they give up the lead for one, they pretty much led the whole game. And I watched the game. The Bengals kind of dominated for most of that game. Then they give up the lead to the Ravens. And 4th and 12, and they called a perfect play. I mean, when Andy threw it, I didn't know where it was going, but I go, he threw that with a lot of intention. Like there was no doubt where he was going with the ball. And then Tyler Boyd catches it. I mean, and I'm not going to say where Tyler Boyd's been. I think they've underutilized him this season. I thought he had a decent rookie year. And then they just stopped. I mean, offense was terrible most of the year. But they win the game. I couldn't believe it. And now Marvin Lewis is back for 2 years. I just thought he was gone. He's back for 2 years. And one thing he said in his press conference, which I think he wanted to say all year, he goes, we got to get better players. There's certain positions we need better players. AKA offensive line. First thing out the box. And he didn't say draft. He said, we got to get players from other teams. He's basically admitting they messed up last year when they let go of Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler. So we'll see what happens. The city is like, I'm still indifferent because I still watch them. It's just, it's like one of them Einstein quotes. Definition of insanity. Keep doing the same things and expecting different results. Bengals are insane. Now, the defensive coordinator is going to Oakland, which that's the big news is they knew they was getting Gruden. And I guess the Raiders is, it's not official, but it looks like they're getting the Bengals defensive coordinator, Paul Gunther, which I'm fine with. And then the Bengals retain the offensive coordinator. I'm like, oh, God, guys. We were so predictable. But, I mean, you can be predictable as you want. If you got the players, people still can't stop them. I don't know, man. Is it all in my voice? When somebody goes like this, I don't know. That's never a good sign when you're talking about your football team. Hey, Gary, how you feel about the Bengals? I don't know. That's not a good reaction when you're bringing up your hometown team. So, and then all of a sudden we end the season beating 2 teams fighting for playoff spots. What was that? And then the crazy part is, I know you guys have seen it, but some of the best videos is the Buffalo Bills watching the Bengals game. Because 4th and 12, it's the Bengals versus the Ravens. You just know the Bengals aren't going to win and pull it out. And so the Buffalo Bills are sitting in their locker room with little to no hope. And all of a sudden, Andy throws a bullet and Tyler Boyd scores. And the locker room goes crazy.
Can you check it? 29, bro. Yeah, right there. What are you doing? 29. Tricky. First down, baby.
And it was so cool to see. And I didn't realize Buffalo hadn't been in the playoffs in over 17 years. So I think the Music City Miracle was the last time they were in the playoffs. And we know how that ended. And the fact that Andy Dalton threw that pass, I don't know if everybody knows this, but all of a sudden, all these donations start coming in from Buffalo to his foundation. And it's like last I heard, it was over 170,000, but it was accumulating so fast. By the time this podcast is on the air and you guys hear it, it'll probably be well over 300,000. And the other AFC, the Jaguars, they're the 3 seed, and they're going to play the Steelers. And I would love to see that game, because there was years ago when David Garrard was the quarterback for the Jaguars. He always had the Steelers number. They beat the Steelers pretty handily in the playoffs. And now they're back, and I'm like, they handled Pittsburgh pretty well earlier in the year. Now, granted, Pittsburgh went on a run. It was kind of a wake-up call, honestly, because the Jaguars just ran the ball and beat them up. And then after that, they went on that run. They played the Chiefs next week, and the Steelers have been playing well ever since. But I still think the Jaguars, their DBs can match up well, and I don't know. The difference in that game would definitely be Big Ben and Blake Bortles. That'll come down to the quarterbacks. Now the NFC, those are going to be some good games, because one, you got the Falcons, and Falcons got so much talent, but it seems like when you lose a Super Bowl, there's a little hangover, and the sun's been a little off with the Falcons all year. I can't put my finger on it, but just a little off. It almost reminded me of the time that I played in a celebrity basketball game in Fresno, California back in like 99. And I had to guard Antonio Freeman, who was a wide receiver for the Packers. And he was an active wide receiver, not like retired. He was in his 20s. And everything we did, he just did it a little better. Like, we were running on the court on fast break. He was a little faster than me. We went in for a rebound. He could jump a little higher. I bumped him. I could tell he was a little stronger. But all that little equals a lot when you put it all together. So I don't know what's going to happen. The Falcons, they're going to go to Philly. They might be favored going to Philly. I don't know. Now, granted, I could be totally wrong. I could be like Stephen A. Smith. That guy's never right. He says his picks with so much conviction. As soon as he picks, I want to go to Vegas and just be like, boom. Now, in the NBA, the big news was Isaiah Thomas came back and balled out his first game. 17 points in 19 minutes. And I met Isaiah Thomas for the first time back in October. We went to Gabrielle Union's birthday party in Cleveland. That's the first time I met him. And he's just a nice guy, cool dude, man. Like, I really liked him. Like, I became a real fan of him. And I sent him a message last year. I remember when his sister passed away during the playoffs. And I didn't want him to respond. I just wanted to share a message with him that, him going on the basketball court and playing right after his sister died. And people are like, is he going to play? I go, there's nothing else he wants to do. I guarantee it. It's his escape from reality when you're on the basketball court. Because I remember when my brother died, I had a show the next day at the Imperial Palace Casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. And that's all I want to do was get on stage. I'll tell you what, it was the loneliest, worst plane ride. The bad part about it was, not bad part, but the Imperial Palace gave me the presidential pimp daddy, bring the hoes if you got them, do cocaine suite. It just looked like, okay, whoever made this suite, it was made for a party, because there was a big bar. There was a jacuzzi white right in the open. There was 2 bedrooms that attached to the big living room area. There was a big piano. I was like, okay, this is the suite they give to people that just came to party. And here I am, depressed. It's the day after my brother died. And I told my road manager and my opener, Gene, to come up. And they're like, God damn. And I was like, you guys want it? I don't. But that show was a show I'll never forget. I'll never forget that show the day after my brother passed away. Just because I needed it. I just needed that hour and a half of just normal. Just didn't have to think about it, because I knew as soon as I got on stage, I didn't think about it again. I just sat in my room all day, did the show. I got through the whole show, and at the very end, I broke down. At the very end, right before I said goodnight, because I wanted to thank them because I guess people were calling like, is he going to cancel the show? Just like they were asking, is Isaiah going to play? And I know it's not. I mean, it is the same. We both lost a sibling, but I always felt from afar, I knew what he was going through when he played after his sister died. Like I knew it. Like granted, it's basketball and I'm a comedian, but I just knew what he was going through. Like in his brain. I didn't have to know him. But then when I met him, I was so happy he was a nice guy. He was cool. I was like, now I can really root for Cleveland this year. Like full bore. With him back, woo. Cleveland's got a shot, man. Oh shit. I just had a brain fart. I had a thought and it left. I got to eat more blueberries. I heard blueberries is brain food. Because, a lot of the NFL players have CTE. And Franco Harris, he's got no signs of it. And I heard, they said, what do you attribute it to? And he said, blueberries. I eat blueberries every morning. When I heard that, it's brain food, I always try to eat blueberries. And I didn't eat any the last couple of days. And I just had a brain fart. Oh, just remembered it. Oh, see, just talking about blueberries brought my thought back. You imagine if I would have ate them? Oh, my God. Netflix. I'm going to talk about Netflix, man. I saw the movie Bright. That got a lot of backlash. Honestly, I didn't think it was that good. It was just okay to me. I don't look at a movie and look for a social conscience like people do. And they're acting like the aliens or the black people and blah, blah, blah. I don't ever look at it like that. I was like, just a movie. Just was all right to me. I watched it because I love Will Smith. He's one of my favorite actors. So I just watched it. But it was all right. It was all right. But the show that I'm hooked on, and I would say Ozark is the best show that's ever been on Netflix. One of the best shows ever. Can't wait till season 2 of Ozark. But the show that I'm hooked on is Bloodline, the Rayburn family. Because whoever wrote that show came from some dysfunctional shit. You don't just come up with these storylines and these characters without some kind of experience or backstory. You just don't make that up. And I'm writing my life story right now. So I know my family's dysfunctional growing up. It's funny how when you get in a family that's dysfunctional and, somebody acts crazy, doesn't do right in the family, and then the family keeps it a secret, and then they're appalled and offended when somebody talks about when they get older, instead of just owning it and saying, yo, yeah, man, we messed up. And, you learn from and get better. It's amazing. But this, if you get a chance, man, it starts off a little slow. It's still entertaining, but man, I'm on season 3 now and it's kicked into high gear. And I don't know if it's coming back for season 4. Like I'm not all the way through season 3, but I was talking to my sister and her boyfriend, and he goes, yeah, I don't think it's coming back for season 4. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, if it doesn't, then the show is just ending, they said, because there's a big cliffhanger at the end of season 3. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I'm glad Ozark's coming back. But man, watch that show, Bloodline. John Leguizamo's in it. He comes in season 2. He's great in it. John Leguizamo's great. Like you really hate him. Man, it's such a good cast. And it's one of those things where one of the brothers, the movie takes place the TV show takes place in Key West, Florida. And the thing about one of the brothers is Australian in real life. So when I heard him get interviewed, I felt the same way I saw Idris Elba get interviewed. The same way when Jax from Sons of Anarchy, I saw him, Charlie Hunnam. I was like, what? Jax? I remember Sons of Anarchy was my show. I remember when the first time I heard Charlie Hunnam talk, I said, no way. And then when I heard him talk and I started watching the show again, I said, oh, now it makes sense, because he struggled with the word family. He would always say, my family. He goes, no, I'm here to protect my family. He always put every initial, my family. And I was like, oh, he has a hard time saying family. No, man, just family. You're crossing my family. So he struggled with that word. Because the thing about the show is there's 3 brothers and a sister. And then there's a mom and dad that are older, but the family has so many dark secrets. And the dad did some dirty shit, especially to Danny Rayburn when he was younger. And the family covered for him, and they never owned up to it. My wife just was talking about this the other day. Was I had an article in BuzzFeed 2 months before my brother passed away, and once it came out, I got a lot of backlash from that side of the family. So my mom brings it up to my wife in front of people. Let's talk about the article. And one of my stepdad's brothers, who I've never had a problem with his brothers, they've all been great to me. He said, he just embarrassed the family. And my wife goes, he went to jail. Like he went to prison. And the article embarrassed the family, but not jail. Okay. When you got dysfunction like that, it's not you're embarrassed that somebody said it. You're embarrassed of the truth. That's what you're embarrassed about, if you want to be honest. My wife said she's a yeller. I've yelled at our kids before. If our kids ever got older and said, yeah, Dad used to yell at us, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, when there was a couple times I've yelled at you. I got to own it. Do I wish I would have? No, but I did. There's been a couple times I acted irrational that I would never act like that in public when you're in your own house. And I think everybody has. Sometimes people push your buttons and you raise your voice and say things. Now, I've never said nothing like crazy, like I hate you or cussed you out or nothing like that. But I've raised my voice when I shouldn't have, yelled when I shouldn't have, and, done some things that if it was on tape, I'd probably be embarrassed by my tone. I'm not putting it off on anybody. I don't know if any of our parents do it, but I know I've done it. And if my kids ever said anything to anybody, I would just have to own it. Be like, yeah, I did that. I was stupid. I did it. So it is what it is. It's called being an adult. You got to take responsibilities for your actions. And I told my daughter that. My daughter, one time I yelled at the whole family and I shouldn't have. And, my daughter was hurt by it. She was a little girl. And, I had to go up the stairs and talk to her. And then, I said, I don't want you to ever feel like you have to keep this a secret. If you want to tell somebody, tell them. I go, and if they ask me about it, I got to own it. That's all I can do. And so, she still brings it up every now and then, just throw it in my face. But, I got to own it if it happens. So, all right, y'all. Well, look, I'm sorry I ended this on kind of a low note, but thank you, Dallas, Detroit, and Chicago. Well, Hammond, Indiana, the Horseshoe Casino, January 11th to the 14th. I'm in Baltimore at the Comedy Factory. Always a good time. Congratulations, Marvin Lewis. I don't know what sex tape you got on Mike Brown, but you got something because you still got a job, man. That's crazy to me. We're just going to ride it out now. See what happens. Netflix, you take nothing else away. If you haven't seen Ozark, watch that first. But if you're looking for a show on Netflix, I highly recommend Bloodline. Trust me, you'll love it. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some.
Vegas, there's a lot of Mexicans in Vegas. Mexicans are everywhere. They're taking over the earth. I tell everybody, learn Spanish now. The revolution is here. I had a show in Alaska a couple weeks ago. There was Mexicans at my show in Alaska. I was like, you guys in Alaska? They say, hey, shut the fuck up, we're Eskimos. Burr, I say, burr, Eskimos forever. Live out in California, they're trying to kick all the Mexicans out. I'm like, no, man, let them stay. Let the Mexicans stay, man. I just built my first house. Mexicans built my house. 22 Mexicans built my house in 3 days. One fucking hammer. I never seen that in my life. They would hammer, throw it, catch it, flick it back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Gary Owen.com or on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, #GetSome or United We Cast, and enjoy the best podcast in the universe. And it just happens to be mine. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on it. I'm saying that because I really feel like it. So football season is coming to an end. Here's how I get through the offseason after football's over. Thank God The Walking Dead comes on, and that's on Sunday nights. So I'm looking forward to that. And then my guilty pleasure is Big Brother. And I don't know if you guys watch that show on CBS, but I love that show, Big Brother. And it gets me through the summer waiting on football. And it comes on like 3 times a week. And this year it's Celebrity Big Brother. I even had my sisters text me last week, you should get on Celebrity Big Brother. I said, no, I don't want to do that. If I was going to do any kind of reality show other than the Gary Owen show, which I had, I would do Dancing with the Stars if they asked me to do that. I do think I got a lot of rhythm. Now, the other thing that happened over the the last week was they had the NAACP Image Awards. Girls Trip crushed it. Tiffany Haddish got Best Supporting Actress. Will Packer gave a great acceptance speech.
Young Kof, where you at? Kofi, Mike Coulter, y'all here? Check this out. 8 years ago, I met this amazing woman at this festival down in New Orleans. And at this festival, black women were empowered to be whoever they wanted to be, celebrate the way they wanted to celebrate without worrying about men or society or conforming for anybody else. I left that festival and two things happened. Number one, I married that woman. Her name is Heather Packer. I love you. She changed my life. Number two, I called Malcolm Lee. I said, I got that movie that we've been talking about making for so long. We stand up here before you as brothers for our sisters. This is for you, Regina Hall, Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah, Tiffany MF and Haddish, and all the other melanin-infused sisters, especially the ones from Haiti and Africa. We love you as your brothers. We need you. You support us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
But it was, Will just he's a good speaker. And he did it so fast with so much confidence. He just went up there and was like, yo, I went to Essence Fest years ago and two things happened. One, I met my wife, who I'm still married to this day. Shout out to Heather and gave his wife a shout out. He goes, and two, I saw women of color empowered and they were out there. And that, the Essence Fest in New Orleans is like, I heard that's like the chocolate factory. I've never been, but I heard it is just, if you love black women, you want to go to that for sure. And he said, I just saw, so many women empowered and independent and positive. And then he said, so I came to Malcolm Lee and I said, I got this movie idea. Let's do a movie about Girls Trip going to Essence. And he goes, and then he said, I just want women of color to know our melanin infused women and our women in Africa and Haiti that we love you. And we're here for you. And the crowd went crazy. But it was just a quick 1 minute speech, but it was powerful. And it was good, especially coming off Donald Trump saying Haiti and Africa is a shithole country. I'm like, dude, this guy. And it's, it's crazy. So he's like unraveling in front of us. And I think Donald Trump has so much money and he's probably got a ton of yes men around him that nobody checks him on what's correct and incorrect. But what's interesting was on Facebook today, I saw somewhere on a video of 1999 Jesse Jackson giving Donald Trump all these props about how much he's helped the black community and employed black people and was supporting Jesse Jackson during his 84 and 88 presidential campaigns. And I was just like, whoa, where's that guy at? So it's almost like, it's almost like, what do I think now? I don't know. I'm mind boggled because, there's so much negative rhetoric around him, as there should be. But then you hear things about in the past of some of the good things he did. But and even Jesse Jackson said in his speech about Donald Trump, he was like, something about his tact or the way he talks turns people off, basically, is what he was saying. He goes, but if you can get through all that, you can realize that he is here to help people. And I'm just like, okay, what do you think now? Because Jesse Jackson would never say that about him now. And it's just like Donald Trump, he only talks about, when you say Haiti and Africa, automatically you think black. So automatically people are going to be like, oh, he's talking about black people from shithole countries. Because let me tell you something. You can go to some of these places like Poland and some things like that. I remember that there's a fighter, Andrew Galata, and they said he was from a Polish ghetto. And I was watching HBO or something, and that ghetto that they showed in Poland was 10 times worse than any ghetto I've seen in the United States. I even say like some of these third world countries, and not African American third world countries, any third world country. Like Poland, for instance, has some terrible ghettos, and I'm sure like place in Nicaragua and some of these South America places. A lot of their ghettos ain't got running water. They don't have anything sanitary. Watch Slumdog Millionaire. That's a ghetto. That's the slums. So even the so-called ghetto and projects in the United States have running water. And you can kind of do almost everything as long as you got water and heat if you're in the cold. You can make do. But I mean, like I said, Slumdog Millionaire and some of these places in India and stuff like that, that makes our ghettos look like Beverly Hills. But when Donald Trump keeps saying everything he says is places populated by black people. And so automatically you're thinking he's talking about black people. And indirectly he is. It reminds me of when I do stand-up and I say my wife or my kids. Now, I establish in the beginning of my act, I have a black wife and black kids. But then the rest of my act, if I talk about my wife or my kids, I'm just saying my wife or kids. Where I hear some people like, all you do is talk about black and white, black and white. And I go, no. Here's what's going on. When I say my wife, all of a sudden a black woman pops up in your brain because you know I'm married to a black lady. So in your brain, you're saying, oh, Gary's doing black-white jokes. No, I'm just doing jokes, but I am talking about my wife who is black. I'm talking about my kids who are mixed, but I'm not saying my mixed kids or my black kids or my black wife. I'm just saying my wife. But in your brain, you have a visualization of a black woman. Oh, he's saying black-white. That's not what I'm doing. You're just thinking that. So, and that's what indirectly Donald Trump is doing. He's talking about these countries and that are populated with a lot of black people. Is it on purpose? I think little of it is. And he's saying, why don't we have more people come over here from Norway? Can you pick a whiter country, dude? Like, really? Norway isn't just white. You're thinking blonde hair, blue eyes. Now, I do know that, and I don't know if it's Norway or Switzerland or Sweden. I'm not sure which one. One of those countries over there, they got to figure it out because there's no crime. Life expectancy is longer than anywhere else. Even the way they conserve energy. Like most people bike to work. If they don't drive, they don't have to. And you know, most of the country aren't living outside their means. So I don't know which one it is. Is it Norway, Sweden, or Switzerland? I don't know. But one of them has it all figured out. Like whoever is the government running things and the way the population is and the way they grow up. They just grow up in it. And that's all you know. And I just, and it doesn't, you know what else doesn't help with Donald Trump? It's the black people he associates himself with. These dirty black preachers that are always on TV, and you could tell from a mile away they're dirty. They had one black preacher on one at CNN or something. He started quoting scriptures instead of addressing Donald Trump saying the shithole country. And it's just so funny to me how people can throw out, because they've memorized scriptures in the Bible, they can throw them out and use them for their purposes when it benefits them. It's almost like when I go to funerals. If I go to a funeral, let me tell you something. I just want to hear stories about that person. And I went to a funeral. A buddy of mine, Devin, passed away about 1.5 years ago. And I went to his funeral, and it was great. I know it sounds odd seeing a great funeral, but it really was. Like, people were telling great stories about him, and I felt like I knew him. And I felt like I knew the stories, and they were really describing Devin accurately. And all of a sudden, it was going great. And then a preacher went up there. And this dude was up there so long. Here's what I got out of it. He saw a packed church. He saw 2,000 people at my buddy's funeral. He thought, oh, this is money. I can get people to start coming to my congregation. And he took it as a chance to not honor Devin. And it was like an hour and a half later, he was still talking. Literally, the guy had to get in his ear and be like, look, man, we only got the cemetery till 5 o'clock. And people were just leaving. I was like, he was trying to get people saved and everything. I said, dude, this is about Devin. And it happened. That was a bad one. And there was another guy who was my wife's friend named John Atterbury. And I don't know if you can remember, like 5 years ago, a guy was in Hollywood just with a gun, just shooting people randomly walking on the street. Well, John was in a car. It was Saturday morning. He went to the bank to make sure he could withdraw money to pay his employees because he knew Christmas break was coming. And he wanted to make sure he got his employees paid before the banks closed and before the Christmas holidays. That's the only reason he was out that Saturday morning. And the guy ended up shooting John, and John died a couple days later in the hospital. So me and my wife flew out to LA for the funeral. And the same thing happened, man. And I didn't know John at all. And there was like 5, 6 people went up and spoke about him. And even though I didn't know him, I felt like I knew what he was about by his friend's stories. And then his uncle went up, who was a preacher, and the same thing happened. He just went a little too long. Just like, oh man, his funeral was going great until then. I already told my wife. My wife has always said she's gonna live longer than me. But I said, look, at my funeral, just promise me I'm okay if a preacher talks. Make sure most of the stories are about me. I started to shift when the preachers get up there. All of a sudden, your right butt cheek story, like, and I just said, don't let that happen at my funeral. Please do not let that happen. Oh, I got sidetracked. I was talking about the NAACP Image Awards because then we got talking about Donald Trump and Haiti and stuff. And but I'm so happy Tiffany Haddish won. I've known Tiffany for 15 years. And here's an interesting story about Tiffany is when Girls Trip came out, I saw it twice. So I paid money to see it twice. One, I just went and saw it. And the second time I enjoyed it. So I went again. And plus I was trying to double support the movie. Will Packer, the producer, he's the one that put me in Ride Along and Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man too. So if he does a movie, I paid tickets just to go see it. So you just support. But Will's got an assistant named Shayla. And I love Shayla to death. Well, she called me and I was coming in to meet with Will. I had a meeting with him. And I was coming in to meet with him about something. And she said, did you see Girls Trip? And I said, yeah. And she goes, what'd you think? I said, oh, I loved it. I saw it twice. She goes, that's awesome, Gary. She goes, what'd you think about it? Blah, blah, blah. And we're just talking about it. I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. And it's funny when people say, what did you think about it? They really don't want to know the truth. Not the truth, but they really don't want your opinion. I think most would just want you to say how good it is. And this is the only critique I gave about Girls Trip that I said, if I was to do it, I would have done this differently. I just said, I think Tiffany said bitch a little too much. Like if she said it 100, I would have cut it down to like 95. And Shayla goes, what? What'd you say? I said, no, let me explain. She goes, Gary, I've asked 10 people. Nobody's ever brought that up. And I was like, didn't you just ask me what my opinion was? And the only thing I was getting at was not that it was bad or a bad critique my thing was there was a couple scenes where, and this is the comedian in me, where you want that person to get the big laugh, the huge laugh where the theater's just rocking. There was a couple times where the scene before Tiffany said bitch. And then the next scene, she said bitch again, but this bitch was funnier than the bitch in the scene before that. So in my brain, I was like, oh, if she wouldn't have said bitch in that scene just before this, that bitch would have crushed. I was trying to explain it to shit, but she didn't want to hear that. Oh, I think she's still a little upset at my critique. But it wasn't a critique like bad. She just didn't let me get it out. And that's what we do. Most comedians, we observe. You don't see us busting out laughing all the time when we go to comedy shows or at movies because we're dissecting everything. It's almost a character flaw. It's like we watch a movie and we just kind of like, they could have did this, or maybe they could have did this. And so when I'm watching Girls Trip, I'm just sitting there going, okay, Tiffany clearly was the comedic relief in that movie. And I was just like, oh man, it was just a few times like, God, if she wouldn't have said bitch there, that bitch would have just destroyed that scene. Now it still got laughs, but I was just like, oh, because I've done some stuff and I knew it wasn't I did a pilot for Comedy Central like 15 years ago. And I knew when I shot it, when I saw it, I go, oh, this shit's terrible. And of course it didn't get picked up. and the show I did with Shaq called Upload. I think we could eventually work that out and got it right. But the first season was just all right. It wasn't, I watched it and I was like, oh, this is it. This is a game changer. No, it was just all right. Even Meet the Blacks, the movie I did with Epps, there was a couple scenes in that movie where I was like, that kind of fell flat, or the editing wasn't as good as I had hoped. I was like, they should have did it. But that's the comedian in me wanting to get a laughs and just, you're almost like a perfectionist when you see things. So, I mean, it's all minor stuff, but I don't know. I hope Shayla's not mad at me. And if she does listen to the podcast, Shayla, I hope that explained what I meant by the critique of Girls Trip. Because I love Shayla. I love Will Packer Productions. I love everybody over there. But it was just like, she was really, and then when I came into the meeting, I thought she was going to still be mad. I always feel like I got to explain myself. now, and I haven't got a chance to have lunch with her or sit down. So I can't wait till I get to LA again, and hopefully I'll get to sit down with her. But even when I do sit down with Shayla again, she's gonna cut me off before I get the whole story out. Can I explain this? Because a lot of people are like, let it go, because Shayla might think it's not a big deal, but I'm like, no, she's gonna remember that critique. It's always good when I see comedians doing that type of stuff. Like, I'm so happy just Tiffany's getting her due, and she's really turned into Black Melissa McCarthy is what she's turned into. Like, she's just getting movie after movie offers, and she's going on a TV show with Tracy Morgan and Cedric, The Last OG, and she's got a Super Bowl commercial just got announced. Groupon. I did something with her. Oh God, 4 years ago. I just had a funny little sketch idea, and she came to my hotel, and I gave her $100, and we did this thing called Twerking for Jesus, and it's on my YouTube page if you go to it. And I remember we did it in like 2 hours. She came over to my hotel room, and I had the camera guy there, and we shot it. And then I forgot to pay her. And then Tiffany, before she walked in, she goes, "Hey, Gary, you got the $100?" I said, "Oh yeah, sorry." And I even remember, God, years ago, she opened up for me in Ontario, I think it was, somewhere, Ontario, California or something. And I had a good time with her that week. And then she called and was like, do you ever need anybody to open up for you? I said, "Tiff, you got open door. Whenever you want to open up for me, just let me know." And then she's like, "All right." And then her manager called me at that time. And this is probably 8-9 years ago. And he was like, "Yeah, I like that combo, you and Tiff." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, you got my schedule." I said, "If you call the comedy clubs, and I'm not going to say no if she ever wants to open up, they say Tiffany." I said, "Yeah, of course." And then come to find out, coming from Tiff, she was like, "Yeah, my husband," it's her ex-husband now, he's a little jealous. Like, he doesn't want me going on the road or something with dudes. And I was like, "Tiff, he realizes you're in a male-dominated profession, right? Like, you're going to be working with guys every week." I go, he shouldn't be with a female comedian if he's going to be jealous like that. Just comics aren't like that. Once you're a stand-up, I look at you as a stand-up. I don't look at you like a female. It's almost like the girls in Think Like a Man, like Gabrielle Union and Taraji Henson and Regina Hall and Megan Good and Lala. I don't look at those girls as sex symbols at all. I mean, it's like they basically have dicks to me. You don't look at them like these sexy, beautiful women anymore. They're obviously beautiful and great, but you just don't look at them in that way. You're just like, "Oh, it's Gab, I'm working with Gab." Or it's the same way with stand-ups, I haven't read her book yet. I got to get it, The Last Black Unicorn. But, when she called me, I was like, "Yeah, he's a little jealous." And I said, "Tiff, he's going to have a hard time being married to you. Thank God they're not together anymore, because that's a long life. Like, I couldn't even imagine. You met it. There's only so many female comics. I don't know. It's like being a mechanic. If you're a female mechanic, you're gonna be working with a lot of dudes." So yeah, but I'm just happy for her success and everything that's come with it. And I hope one day I'll get to explain to Shayla, Will Packer's assistant, what I meant by my critique of Girls Trip. It wasn't a bad critique. I love the movie. Hell, I paid to see it twice. I just said, as a comedian, we dissect stuff so much and analyze it. We don't laugh like that. And we'll watch a movie, and especially the second time. My first time, I just enjoyed Girls Trip. The second time, when I knew what was coming, that's when I started dissecting the movie. And I was like, this movie is like damn near flawless. And it was just a couple times I was like, "Oh God, if she wouldn't have just said bitch in the scene before that shit would have popped like crazy." It's almost like when I watch my openers, and they'll tell a joke and it'll get a laugh, and then they'll come backstage. I go, "Hey man, say this next time with this." Like, this one guy opened up for me, and he cussed so much in the first 5 minutes. I said, "Hey man," I told him about this joke. And I said, "Don't cuss that whole joke until you hit the punchline. When you hit the punchline, then say that's fucked up, or bitch, that's fucked up," or something like that was the punchline. And he did it, and the joke popped that much harder. It was already funny, but by him cussing out all the curse words until the punchline, it shocked the crowd, because the crowd almost was like, "Oh, this guy a clean comic." And then he just goes, "That's fucked up," or something. I remember something where it was "fuck" was a punchline. And it was like, I was like, that's what I do. I'm a very good stand-up too. Like, if I see something, I can make it funny. And I know it sounds like a scene, but if I say I can make it funny, so when I see a movie, I'm like, oh, that would have been funny right there. Or if they wouldn't have said that. And then that's my only critique. She was so upset with me. And my wife's like, just let it go. I go, I can't. I got to explain it to her. She goes, don't, because she might not say nothing. And you might have just took it like she thought it was a big deal. And I go, I think it was. Shayla's not one to bullshit you either. Like, if she don't like what you said, she'll say it. That was messed up or that was stupid. Anyways, since football is coming to an end, I probably got to go kind of basketball heavy for a little while. The funnest player to watch right now, I think in college or pros, is Trae Young from Oklahoma. I don't know how he's going to translate to the pros. I'm not a basketball expert like that, but I look for Oklahoma to play just to see him play because he is shooting bombs and just going for 30 a game. And he's just fun to watch. So if you get a chance to watch Oklahoma and Trae Young, oh, he's so much fun to watch. Another thing though is the Cavs are not looking good at all. I'm watching that Golden State Cleveland game, and I just knew Golden State was going to beat them. Even when the Cavs went up and it looked like Cavs were just exerting so much energy to keep up with the Warriors and to keep a lead. And the Warriors looked like they were just kind of coasting like, look, we'll do this when we want to do it. It reminded me of the Mayweather-McGregor fight where I think Mayweather could have knocked McGregor out in the first couple rounds. But he's like, no. I'm going to let this play out because I might want to do this again. And I might want to get in the promoting business of promoting an MMA fighter against a boxer. And I want people to think that these MMA guys really have a shot. So I don't want to knock them out early because then nobody will believe an MMA fighter can handle a boxer. I felt like I was watching that when I was watching Cleveland and Golden State. And it also goes to show LeBron's the best player in the NBA. It's not even close. I mean, see, I love it when people like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is great. Unbelievable. If you're going to give me like a 2-on-2, I'm taking LeBron every time. Every time in 2-on-2. That guy's just unbelievable what he's doing with that Cleveland team because nobody's really hitting open shots. And Isaiah's a great player, but I don't think he's found his role yet. He ain't found where he kind of fits in. And it'll happen. I guarantee you before the season's over, Cleveland's going to go on like an 8-9 game winning streak. I guarantee it's going to happen. And then they're definitely going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't know if they can get past Boston. I think they'll beat Boston, but I think it's going to be in 7. I think it's going to be a battle. It's almost harken back if LeBron would stay in Cleveland and they got to make a few moves. It's almost going back to like the Pistons and Celtics, the Pistons and Bulls. Like it would be nice to have a rivalry where there's a little tension too. And not everybody's getting along because it's clear Kyrie and LeBron are cool, but he left because he didn't want to be around LeBron for whatever reason. I don't know if it was personal, professional, I don't know. But it's clear. And that's got to irk at LeBron. I don't want to see LeBron go to the West. I want him to stay in the East. I want him to be in the East his whole career. I don't want him to go to the Lakers. So I hope Cleveland makes some moves or they get to the finals and make a run. But it's clear Golden State's the best team. Say what you want about Houston, the Clippers, Oklahoma City. It's not even close. It's not even close. Now, the funnest rivalry in the NBA right now is the Clippers and Rockets. Just because Chris Paul left and you got, I call them fake tough guys like Blake Griffin and Trevor Ariza. And even Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul just talks a lot of smack. I don't think he tries to be tough. But the fact that I heard Chris Paul, James Harden, and I don't know if Trevor Ariza, they tried to go through a secret, entrance into the Clippers locker room to confront somebody on the Clippers. I heard it was Austin Rivers. And I don't know if you heard it, but on Rick Bucher show, I always mess up his name. I hate Rick Bucher's name. I wish it didn't have an H. I want to call him Bucher so bad. But Rick Bucher had a great interview with Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is a tough guy, but he's more of like he's more of a pusher, not a puncher. He's that guy on the playground who's just going to keep pushing you. But nobody really knows if he can fight. But he'll talk a lot of smack. I'm like, do something. That's who Matt Barnes reminds me of. Like I'm very open. I can't fight. And I don't know if I can fight. And I'll never find out. But see, Matt Barnes, you don't know. And I think that the intimidation factor that he had most of his career, because he would stand up to basketball players that were better than him. That little flinch he did to Kobe is legendary. So when Matt Barnes went on Rick Bucher's show this week, and he said a lot of people don't like Austin Rivers because he comes off as cocky and conceited, and he carries himself like he's a 10-time All-Star, and he's pretty much a role player. And that's who got underneath Chris Paul's skin and James Harden. It was that. And I think Ariza and Blake Griffin, I mean, I don't know. Ariza's in a perfect situation. Ariza's one of those guys that when he was at the Lakers, he went to Houston and got all that money, and then he realized, oh, I'm not the number one scorer. I don't need to be a number one. And now he's fit into his role. And that's where he flourishes. He flourished with the Lakers when he was like the third option. And he's flourishing now with the Rockets when he realized, oh, I don't need to be the number one option. That's not my role. But I just hope Houston and the Clippers play each other in the playoffs. I think that would just be fun. There would definitely be fights and arguments and ejections, but I don't think it really matters. I think Golden State's going to run through the West, and they're probably going to run through the finals. And the thing about it is, even if somebody gets hurt, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're so stacked. If Curry or Durant goes down, they're still fine. And if Golden State wins it this year, then they are officially a dynasty. That's 3 out of 4 championships. And what would make it interesting is if Cleveland can somehow get to the finals and somehow find a way to win 4 games against Golden State, and then it's 2-2. And then LeBron ain't going nowhere. There's no way he's leaving if they win a title this year. There's no way. And there's always like little discontent in Cleveland this time of year. Remember a couple years ago, LeBron took like a week off, went down to Miami and rehabbed and rested and recharged his battery. And I was fine with it. And remember last year when everybody was talking about these guys don't play in the regular season and stuff. We didn't care once they got to the playoffs, because when the playoffs come, I want to see the best players at their best. I don't want to see them lagging or they got a nagging injury. Nah, the goal is to get to the playoffs and win a title. I don't care if you won 40 games in the regular season or 60. Just get to the playoffs, and that's where we want to see the stars play, is in the playoffs. Another sad note in NBA basketball, JoJo White passed away. And a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but his son, JoJo White's son, is Brian White, who was in Stomp the Yard, was in Fighting with Channing Tatum. He's a good actor. I worked on a movie with him that nobody saw. It was called The Night Before. It was a little independent movie, but we had a good time on set. And he was a good guy. And I remember him telling me, he kept like talking about the Patriots and the Celtics. And I was like, what? Because you don't see too many black guys like repping the Celtics and Patriots too much. You see like Matt Damon and Red Sox. You see like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, people like that. There's a huge comedy scene in Boston. It's a lot of white comics group, but you don't see too many black guys. So when he said, I go, really? Are you from there? He goes, my dad used to play for the Celtics. I go, who? He goes, JoJo White. I said, I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But he was just a good dude, man. So I just want to send out my condolences to the entire family, man. That's got to suck. I mean, we're all going to die one day. But I mean, it's not a tragedy when some 71 years old like JoJo was passed away. That's a life well lived. You got to see your kids grow up and get to see your grandkids. That's a good life. Oh, I don't want to. I got to do a crazy stepdad story. I'm sorry. Oh, before I do that, this weekend I'm in Kansas City, Missouri at the Improv, January 25th to 28th. I always tell people, if you want to know my schedule, just go to GaryOwen.com. That's got all my dates on it. And then I'm doing a private gig for Randy Moss in Minnesota, February 1st. It's a private, Randy used to play for the Vikings. Super Bowl's in Minnesota. I think the Vikings will be in the Super Bowl, but they're doing a thing for Randy Moss, some private event. I don't know, but I'm just like the host, aka roast master guy. But I heard there's going to be some big names in the audience. I'm not allowed to share who, but there's going to be some huge icons, current and former players, to talk about Randy. So I'm excited about that one right there. I'm in Toledo, February 2nd and 3rd, obviously not February 4th because it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm coming to Atlanta, February 9th to the 11th at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. That is the weekend before Valentine's, so it's going to be coupled out everywhere. So that's my schedule. Crazy stepdad story. I just recently found out that my stepdad is now spreading rumors that he thinks I'm gay because when I was a teenager, he caught me dancing to Purple Rain in my bedroom. That's what makes me gay. I was dancing to Purple Rain in my bedroom. And that makes me gay. That literally means every kid from 85 to 91 that was a teenager is gay. Purple Rain's a slow song, so it's probably Let's Go Crazy. But it recently came to my attention that he is spreading the rumor. And then keep in mind, when my stepdad spreads a rumor, it's to 5 people because he only knows 5 people. But now it's I'm gay. Oh, you got to love him. He's so delusional, you got to love him. Anyways, all right, y'all. That was another great episode, if I do say so myself. So I'll see y'all next week with the Gary Owen Get Some podcast.